I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority, and I have some surprising things, and I have some proof of some more things. Okay, y'all guys, we're going to start here, but this is going to get very interesting pretty quick, and then it's going to get scary, unfortunately, but I'm going to show you the truth, even if it scares me. So let's go ahead. Some of you guys are familiar with the thing that they call the Teflon that the certain sects of Jews wear on their heads, right? Okay, and it's a cube, and y'all guys know what we've talked about the cubes and the tetrahedrons and the cube of Saturn and all these things, okay? But we also know in my last video, my last major video, where we talked about the Holy of Holies and how it exists in the temple, which is your body, and it is in your head, specifically your forehead. So then we see the Jews wearing these things on their foreheads, basically, just above their hairline. And that's surprising enough, and I'm like, okay, that's basically a confirmation. But when you get to this up here in just a minute, but I will point this out. This looks like a backwards 3, and this looks like a hook. You see that? Some of you know what I'm talking about, okay? But let's keep going, because we've got some new information to get to. Now, they'd probably say this is the shin, but again, we're not going there today. Where we're going is, look at this picture here. Okay, now, look at the words. Black leather magnetic Teflon. Black leather magnetic Teflon. Black leather magnetic Teflon. So there is magnetics associated to this Teflon thing, which I find fascinating. Okay. And of course, if you know anything about the scripture of the building of the temple and of the building of the Holy of Holies, it's not surprising to find out that this is 44 millimeters in width, height, and depth. Okay, cube. Now we're gonna move on through this pretty quick, because I really got something else I want to get to that you're going to find fascinating. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to this that I really want to show you. Although I'm going to stop here for a second. Make sure you understand that what the Teflon has in it, it is supposedly made out of leather, and then it has inside scrolls. So similar to the Ark of the Covenant, okay, that had the 10 Commandments in the Ark of the Covenant, right? Okay. And here we have this thing with scrolls inside of it, and then they're wearing it on their foreheads. So I don't know if all of them know why they're wearing it on their forehead and how the placement is associated with the Holy of Holies in the head or not. You would think. But if you go and read about these things, which I've read all of this stuff, okay, there is nothing in here talks about why it's on the head and relates it to the Holy of Holies. I highlighted this, and I will mention this real quick. It says that this cube is fashioned from a single piece of hide. And if you take a single piece of hide and you cut it out in a fashion that way when you folded it up, it made a cube. Well, if you unfold it as you're cutting it out or whatever, it would actually be the shape of a cross. Okay? Not an X, but a cross. And I find that kind of fascinating. And I wanted to show you this. It was interesting that this is one that is an old one or whatever, but it has a, for whatever reason, it has an X inscribed inside of it. And we know what that X means, right? Same thing as what the cube is, okay? But let's keep going here. That is, well, again, I'm not going to get too much into this because I want to show you something else, okay? Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so they say it is not, that nobody's magnetic, right? Well, they know that they're magnetic, and they know why it is, and I'm getting ready to show you exactly that. It's called magnetofection, okay? Magnetic nanoparticles, okay? And this imagery here will help you get the idea a lot better. These are cotton spores, or cotton eggs, you might say. Not eggs, seeds, okay? Well, egg, seed, whatever. And these seeds have what they've got labeled here is apertures in them, little openings, okay, in the seeds. And what they've come to figure out is that if they take a magnetic nanoparticle, okay, made out of iron or something like that, something very magnetic, that they can attach to it. See all these little things sticking off of it here? They can attach DNA to it, instructions for the development of whatever they're going to stick it in, and then take it. And step 2, pollen magnetofection. Okay, so you got your cotton pollen, and you got the nano-size magnets with the mRNA on it. Okay, and then they put it in with the cotton pollen, and it goes in through the what did they call it up here? The apertures, okay, the little holes, okay, in the seed. And once it gets inside the seed, it releases the DNA from its magnetic hold, okay, and then it passes, like I said, it passes in through the apertures, and then one more should bring us down here. And then, of course, you can plant that seed, and then it grows and produces more seed, and then you can harvest that seed, and that seed will then be a transgenic cotton. Geoengineered transgenic, like transgender, like the altering of the original code that the plant had. But this does not just apply to plants. They have been admitting all the way back since about 2000 that they are doing this in animals and humans, okay? to the point that it's admitted at this point in these studies that I'm going to show you in a minute that it's used in the V industry. Okay, you can see kind of what's happening here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go here. Magnetofection delivers DNA in experimental malaria. Right. That was from 2011. See the date down here? It's kind of small probably for you, or for some of you, May 17th, 2011. Okay. Says today's drug delivery word of the day is magnetofection, which essentially is the use of magnetic fields to build up a concentration of magnetic nanoparticles, each containing nucleic acids, and guide them to target cells. Michael Berger, writing in Nano work, discusses a particular kind of magnetic nanoparticle called the superparamagnetic iron oxide nanoparticle, spion. Kind of reminds me of prion. I wonder why. That he says is emerging as a promising candidate for targeting gene delivery using magnetofection. Berger writes about the successful use of magnetofection in Australia to fight malaria. I'm sure they were fighting it, probably delivering it. Researcher, but that's just an opinion. Ross Koppel and his colleagues at Monash University used magnetofection to enhance delivery of malaria DNA, and you can see that word there. They used vectors composed of spions and PEI polymer. The procedure resulted in stable particles with a narrow size range of aqueous media, rendering them suitable for gene delivery systems. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going here, because it gets a little better and a little better as we go, and then it's going to get a little worse and a little worse. Super paramagnetic nanoparticle delivery of DNA. You can see that word there, 2014. This is a study off of SpringerNatural.com where they have all these studies. Now notice, just probably coincidence, I'm sure they got a little horsey head over here. Yeah, I'm sure it means nothing. Okay, it says the efficiency of delivery of DNA Vs is often relatively low compared to protein Vs. The use of superparamagnetic iron oxide nanoparticle spions to deliver genes via magnetofection shows promise in improving the efficiency of gene therapy through vitro and in vitro. In particular, the duration for gene transfection, especially for vitro application, can be significantly reduced by magnetofection compared to the time required to achieve high gene transfection with standard protocols. Spions that have been rendered stable in the physiological conditions can be used as both therapeutic and diagnostic agents due to their unique magnetic characteristics. Valuable features of iron oxide nanoparticles in bioapplications include a tight control over their size, distribution, magnetic properties of the particles, and the ability to carry particular biomolecules to specific targets, meaning RNA, biomolecules, RNA, and other things like that, meaning reprogramming. You can see over here just some illustrations of what they're doing. This is the little nano iron oxide spion, okay, with all of the RNA pieces attached to it, and then they take these and use magnetics and frequency to deliver them to the locations that they want to. Okay. Don't know why I got 2 copies of everything again. Let's see if this is one part I wanted to read to you or not. Says, we describe the production of the Fe3O4 based spions, which are the nano iron oxide magnets, nano-sized magnets with high magnetization values, 70 EMU per G, maybe it's referring to gram, under 15 KOE of the applied magnetic field at room temperature. Meaning they're highly magnetized, which is why in some cases, some people who have gotten more than even one sting their whole bodies are magnetic now. There are people out there that their entire bodies from foot to head are magnetic. There's people with their entire faces. There's people with their chest. It's just everywhere, and it's all over. You can even, if you go on YouTube and run a search for like magnetism and some of the words associated with this stuff, and sort it to today, because if it's older than about a day, it's been deleted. But people are still uploading on a daily basis, and you can find them on there. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, let's keep going. We're going to come back to that. So now we know that it is, they know it, they've known it, of course, and it is the truth. It's out there. You can Google those words, and you will find what we're talking about, okay? You find all kinds of studies, more than you probably got time to read, okay? Magnetic nanoparticles, you can use the word VA, VACCI. You spell it out, and you just start running a few searches, you'll see. Okay. Now, here's another thing. You probably, and I've talked about this show a number of times, because they show us things in their shows. And this guy's, his name was Murphy. He was patient zero. Okay. And in this movie called Z Nation, it was a series on Netflix, and he turned purple, okay, or a greenish blue, maybe, might be more appropriate. The color's a little off in this photo here, but let me see. I think here's another one, okay. I suspect a number of things. One is that the people who have gotten this, an EMF meter of the proper type, and I'm not sure what range of frequency we're looking for here, but these people have now become transmitters and receivers, okay? I suspect probably the forehead will be producing the most, wherever the magnetics are the strongest, but likely the forehead is going to be producing the most transmission, the most signals, the most power, and also receiving, because it's not just transmitting, it's receiving. They've been upgraded, you might say. Not a very good choice of words, but it is what it is. But why is this guy purple? You remember Luciferus? Okay. And what's the other word I'm looking for? I've got it in a slide here in a minute. We'll come to it. But this guy had a baby with this woman here, supposedly on the show, right? And the baby was bluish green also. Okay. And the child grew up, and aged extremely fast. You can see he's still that color too. She aged really, really fast and even died in the same show. This was over a period of, I don't know how long, they didn't say exactly, but you assume a few years, maybe, something like that. Okay? Yeah. What would you do if you had a child that was born that looked like that? I think I'd run. Okay, so we're... Okay, here we are. Magnetofection of green fluorescent protein encoding DNA. So here's my suspicion that in a dark situation, using the right kind of light, these people will either parts of their body or all of their body will glow like a bluish or greenish color. Okay. Normally when I suspect something like this, it's the Holy Spirit planting it for me to think about. This is where how all these things happen. And they're talking about it here in helping people with breast cancer, but so that they can see the cancer cells better because they can make them glow, you know. But I think that these people's, it's one of the ways they're going to know who is vaccinated. Yeah, I almost did it, didn't I? Well, it's their way they're going to know who has had the sting or not. Okay. So there's that, right? Yep. And interestingly enough, the procedure is tied directly to the spions, the magnetic fields, and all of that when they're talking about the cancer cells and identifying cancer cells. So it further leads me to believe that I am right, that these people, somewhere on their body, you're going to be able to see a glowing mark, and you may need a special camera, or you may need a special light, some kind of ultraviolet or something like that. So if any of you want to run some tests, if you know of someone you can run tests on, if you've got the right stuff, right kind of cameras, right whatever, please feel free to do so and contact me with the results. Okay. I'll give you my, I'll put my number that you can text me to get a hold of me at in the description down below. And what I would want you to do is whatever you text me and whatever you've got to say, try to say it in as few texts as possible, because when you've got 1,000 people texting you like I do, and they want to hit enter every sentence, it blows my phone off the wall, and my computer just goes insane every time I mention or give out my number. But it is the most effective way for me to get communication with thousands of people like this, okay? So send all the information in one text, but then send one more text, and I want you to say, let's see, because the last text you send is the one that I can see when I'm looking at my list. So if you'll limit it to just a few words, it's kind of like giving your text, whatever you have sent me, a subject line. And anybody that texts me needs to understand this. So whatever you text me last is the subject line for the content of your previous text that you sent me. You get me? So in the case of testing people under certain lights or lack of light, or under using special cameras, infrared cameras, any kind of specialized camera equipment should be used to try to look at people who we would suspect might be subject to this, especially if they are magnetic. Okay. All right. Oh, so let's give it a title, a subject line. Let's call it glowing people. So if you do some tests or have some information and you send it to me, put your last text that you sent to me, just put 2 words, glowing people. And when I'm looking down my list, deciding which one I want to click on next, because I've got over 1,000 unread texts right now that I'm trying to work my way through. Glowing people is going to stand out to me, and I'm going to click it. Okay? And anytime y'all guys text me with anything, use your last text as the subject line that's meant to get my attention. If it's something that I'm highly interested in, it'll make me want to click on it. All right, let's keep going, because we've got several more things to get to. Magnetofection, enhancing and targeting gene delivery with super paramagnetic nanoparticles and magnetic fields. Does that make it clear enough for you? And this is the National Library of Medicine, pubmed.gov. Okay? Here's kind of how they're saying it's working, okay? Here you got your little iron oxide nano magnet, okay? And all this attached to it around it. The nanomagnet's the little orange thing in the center. And all this stuff around it is RNA. It's your gene therapy. And somehow or another, they're using an outside force magnetic field to direct these things to go into the cell. See, here it's going into the cell. Once it gets in the cell, it disassembles and releases its payload, you see. And then the payload then is incorporated into the cell and creates the new folded proteins. And when those folded proteins go into function, then it gives the cell a new purpose in life, you might say. Okay? This is another example of kind of the same thing. Okay? Can you think about why a lot of people are getting blood clots right now? If you've got millions or billions of little highly magnetic iron oxide nanoparticles in your body. And it's not just nanoparticles. They've got nanocarbon tubes that's part of this therapy. And those are being injected as well, along with, I'm sure, some other things that don't have proof of yet. I suspect fully operational operating system kind of situation, and worse. Plus actual nanobots probably. Okay, so all these people that are getting these things and getting, because I believe my brother-in-law has a blood clot. His wife's sister just died from a blood clot or something like that. And I'm hearing of lots of people getting blood clots. And that's just one of the problems, obviously. There's all kinds of things that people are dying from right now. Okay. Now, y'all guys remember the Deagle.com population reduction forecast for 2025? Yeah. Well, there's a guy, his name, well, you can see it here. It says Craig Cooper or something like that. Craig, well, he did an analysis of the Deagle.com forecast, and I'm going to share it with you. Mainly because I'm fearful that there is truth to what the analysis is here. And I must say, when I seen the Deagle.com statistics, Deagle.com is a military contractor, okay, that does statistics and broadcasts them on the internet. So the statistics, well, let me just read this to you. Deagle.com provided the 2025 forecast for population of each country. I obtained the forecast data before it was taken down in April of this year. However, the data has been safely archived and was still available for analysis, which is on the Wayback Machine. You can go to Wayback Machine and find this information all the way back to around 2013 up to around 2017, 2018, somewhere in there before they took it down. I calculated the percentage population reductions for each country based on the difference between the current population and the 2025 forecast, and sorted each country in order of the largest population reduction. My hypothesis was the cull would have an epicenter centered in countries / powers who were running the pandemic, namely the G7. I also hypothesized that these countries making the V's for the stings would be right at the heart of the slaughter. Okay, so let's look at this chart. Will show you the countries that he has put together this thing here for us, and I appreciate it very much. That shows the percentage of population change, okay, and in this case, reduction. North Macedonia was forecasted to have a 92.4% reduction in population. The United Kingdom is forecast to have 78.5% reduction in population. Ireland, 75% reduction of population. The United States, down from 332 million down to 99 million, which is a 70.2% reduction in population by 2025. Because of the things that I know and the things that are going on and the things that are in scriptures and the things that are playing out, I unfortunately think that this is pretty probably accurate and was posted and put out there for a reason, and basically this reason, so that the people who were seeking the truth would find it and would know. Luxembourg, a 66% reduction. Germany, a 65%. Israel, 54% reduction in population in Israel. United Arab Emirates, 53%. Libya, 52%. Iceland, all these you can see were between 33 and 50, which are Iceland, St. Lucie, Bahrain, Spain, France, Angola, Australia, Malta, Cyprus, Switzerland, Denmark, Barbados. So the highest up here close to the United States and Ireland and United Kingdom, their plans is to annihilate almost everyone in North Macedonia, which is 25 million down to 1.9. Good my God. And the United Kingdom, 65 million down to 14 million. So basically all these countries right in here are 3 out of every 4 people you know, they intend to genocide. And down here in these countries, it's 1 out of every 2, which ain't as bad as 3 out of every 4. But 1 out of every 2 all the way down to France even, approximately, which is actually 41. But you get the point. Now, here's 32 down to 25, so 1 out of every 4, up to a little bit of worse than that. And that's New Zealand, Jordan, Norway, Italy, Austria, Canada, Sweden, Tanzania, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Belgium, Liberia, Chad, Estonia, Qatar, Ukraine, Oman, Niger, Taiwan at 22%. Kuwait, not even sure how to pronounce that one. Brunei Darussalam, something like that. The Democratic Republic of Congo at 20%. South Africa at 19%. And so from 19% down to 16.7%, that's Singapore, Slovenia, Malawi, however you pronounce it, Greece, Portugal, El Salvador, Moldova, Uruguay. So 17%. So that's about a little less than 1 out of every 5 they're planning on killing in Uruguay. And I know I have people that watch in Uruguay. Japan's the same. Belarus, Benin, let's see here, where did I leave off at? Same copy. Suriname, Trinidad, and Tobago, we're at about 16%. Uganda, Mali, Syria at about 15%. Haiti, 15%. Serbia, Gabor, Turkey at about 13%. Iraq at about 13%. That means 13% of the population is scheduled to be terminated. Poland, and don't ask me why they've chosen these numbers and these countries and these percentages, other than maybe that the ones with the higher percentages are more rebellious, harder to control, or maybe they're more willing to take the sting. I don't know. Poland at about 13%, Bulgaria, Togo, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Zambia, Namibia, Cameroon, Sudan, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Somalia, Albania, Croatia, Gambia, Burundi, Cuba at about 9%. Tanzania, Argentina at about 9%. Afghanistan, Guinea, Madagascar at about 8.3%. However you pronounce that one. Ethiopia, Ghana, Yemen, Senegal, Pakistan at about 6.7%. So Pakistan's got 233 million people, will be reduced to 218. I don't understand why they've chosen these numbers. Ecuador, but I do understand why they've chosen some of the ones to come, which we'll see here in a minute, which have no population reduction. Even some countries gaining. Guatemala, Netherlands, 5.9. Thailand, Morocco, Kenya, Slovakia, 5.6. Finland, Kazakhstan, 5.3. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Latvia, 5.3. Mauritania, Hungary, I don't even know how to pronounce that one. Iran, 84 million down to 81, only a 3.6. Russia, 146 to 141, only a 3.4. Armenia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Mexico, 3.2 million down to 3.1. Does Mexico only have? Okay. No, Mexico, 128 million down to 124. That's a 3.1% reduction. Makes me wonder if all these are accurate, because it just don't make sense. Some of them, like Mexico, for instance. Panama, and I'm not saying anything negative towards Hispanics or Mexican people. I'm actually kind of saying the opposite. Panama, China. Now, here's China. They only get a 2.3. They got over 1 billion people, but they only get a 2.3% reduction. Why is that? It's awful strange. Awful strange. Chesney, Brazil, Bahamas, Belize. Belize, the Bahamas have 0%. Belize has 0%. Most beautiful place I've ever been on the planet was Belize. English speaking. They also spoke Spanish, but everybody spoke English. And just an absolutely gorgeous place, gorgeous people. Yet there is corruption in a different way down there. Okay, I already read that one. Okay, so then we've got a number of countries here. They're all zeros, okay? For the most part, all small countries and island countries. The biggest one is Indonesia. Chile maintains. Indonesia, strangely enough, maintains, according to these statistics. Now, maybe these statistics weren't complete. Maybe there's some lies mixed in here. I don't know, but I do think that some of these numbers, unfortunately, are going to unfold. Maldives, Lithuania, Micronesia. I guess it's really easy to control some of these small island countries, They got to do whatever the big boys say, right? So we got a bunch more here that are all zeros. See if we got any big ones here. Nicaragua, Paraguay, Republic of Congo, Romania, 21 million. Let's keep going. Bunch more. Solomon Islands. All these are all zeros, and then in some cases they actually start gaining. I know it says negative, but it means positive, meaning gaining population, increasing, like Costa Rica, Vietnam. I mean, they like Vietnam now all of a sudden. Lagos, Malaysia, Venezuela, gaining population. Nepal, Comoros, Georgia, Lebanon, gaining population, going from 5.5 to 6.6. Lebanon. Okay. I mean, we can take what we can take and assume some of this is I don't know what to think. I'm bringing you the information because I do suspect that they absolutely are pulling a genocide in the UK, the United States, Germany, France, Italy, Canada, and Japan, okay? And more. But some of these other statistics, I can't make sense out of why they would be the numbers that they are. This is the G7, okay, countries. And these 3 countries dominate the top positions. UK, USA, and Germany, where the largest genocide is taking place. It says there are many countries with no culling, which we kind of covered, which is all of these. Although I would doubt that that's going to be the complete case. And some more. And there are many countries that have population increases, like we kind of covered, which is surprising. Now, this is his main conclusions, and I'm not far off of feeling the same way. I'm just disturbed at what to do about it exactly. The main conclusions, and I will give you some biblical reference to this. In the scriptures, it says that he that will be killed will be killed. He that will go into captivity will go into captivity. He that will be free, he that will not die. Everything is basically, the way the scripture is written is that it's all planned. If you're going to live through this, you're going to live through it, no matter where you're at. If you're going to die, you're going to die. With that being said, we'll read his stuff here. It says, it is extremely dangerous to stay in the UK, US, or Germany, the epicenters of this slaughter. You can think where the biggest protests in this world have been going on at. The one in the UK the other day, in the US and Germany. People are rebelling, okay? Even though they don't know all the truth, they know that it's a bunch of bull and they're rebelling. Okay? It says, the epicenters of this slaughter, the places where they will make the V's, the stings, they manufacture them. 4 and 5 will die here. G7 countries in general are a bad idea. 1 and 3 will die at best. European countries in general are unsafe. The European countries I have highlighted in yellow appear to be the safest. Romania, Belize, Czechia, Lithuania, Finland, Hungary, Latvia, and the latter only 1 in 20 die. There are quite a number of countries where there is no culling. Okay. In summary, get as far away from the UK, USA, and Germany. These monsters are planning the utter destruction of their own populations. It is almost like a suicide cult. In Scripture, and I kind of struggle backwards and forth on this, and I've done it even here on the channel. You know, it says, come out of her so that you don't partake in her plagues. And I wonder, I go backwards and forth as how much of it is literal and how much of it is figurative and how much of it is like saying, you know, don't eat GMO foods and don't drink soda pops and don't smoke cigarettes and don't drink alcohol and don't participate in its systems. Don't make money in a fashion that requires you to have to pay taxes or all kinds of things, right? It's like, come out of it that way, or is it come out physically to leave? And of course, as time is passing here, it's getting harder and harder to try to figure out how to make that happen, isn't it? Because now, you know, to get on an airplane, you've got to prove you've been tested, right? You got to take a spelling test. Of course, I'm joking. It's not a spelling test. You know what I'm talking about. Just in 2019, going into 2020, before all this started happening, I read the verses out of the Bible and I said, come out of her. That things are going to get really bad really fast. And I said, come out of her. And a lot of people criticized me greatly for that. But I bet these same people wish that they were out of her at this point. Because when we look out the window right now, everything seems almost back to normal. Less people are wearing masks. Less people are looking less like there's something going on. I know this is not going to last long, guys. There's another wave coming. And the longer it is before it gets here, the bigger it will be. These guys work in like a storm, like a hurricane when it comes in. The bands that swing around and the first little showers that come through when a hurricane's coming towards you. And then it takes a while, and then the next band hits. And then it takes a while, and another one hits you. Or it's kind of like waves coming ashore when there's a tsunami coming. You got all the normal little waves, and then when it starts to draw out, and you get a first wave, it's like, what happened? What's this? And then it draws out again. And the longer it takes, and the further it draws out, the bigger the wave is coming. And this is actually also the same exact way in what's happening in Bitcoin right now. Just telling you what's happening. They're running many things as in the fashion of a toroidal field right now. Most of the things and structures and power centers that they're operating right now, they're operating them as if they were God. That's the way God does things. They're trying to usurp God, Father in heaven, and they're trying to blaspheme the Holy Ghost and deny Christ. Of course. Let's see. I think that is about it for the day. Let me go back and make sure there was nothing over here. No. Y'all guys remember this? Boston. You recognize that guy? Stephen, yeah. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. I love you. When you can and if you can, support my channel, support my work. My channel's not monetized. I've got some new people on here, so I'll just say it once again. My channel's not monetized. And I've been here for 10 years. For those of you that are new, I've been making videos for 10 years. I don't have that many videos on my channel because I'm trying to keep myself from being too big of a target by having less targets sticking up videos. I am shadow banned, so you have to find me, or someone has to send me to you, or no one will ever find this channel because I am shadow banned. I do not show up in searches unless you are subscribed to my channel already. So if you're here and you found me, I'll do my best to bring you the truth and bring you insight on the things that are going on or that are most important to us in the world right now. And you do have my promise, as I've always stated. I will never quit. I will never lay down. I will never submit. This is a lifelong mission for me, and I take it very seriously. They took away from me the most valuable thing that I ever possessed, and that was my son. They gave him autism when he was 2 years old when he got his sting, which I'll never forgive myself for because I was ignorant. And even though I didn't want to do it, and I was telling my ex-wife I didn't want to get him to get his stings, I went through with it, and I held him down while they gave him the needle. And then he changed over the next couple of weeks, and we lost him for a long time, and he's hurt today, and I haven't seen him in a long time, and I miss him so much. But these bastards, they took him from me. They took him from his mama. They took him from himself. They stole his normal life away from him. And I know now he's struggling. And because they did that, I will never quit. My last breath will be yelling the truth. I love you guys. Have a good day. We'll talk to you again real soon. This has been Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority.